Hi everyone, I'm Aahana Miller from ABM, and I work with my father actually. We do a lot of projects together. We don't have our separate projects, so all our ideas are generated by our conversation. And today I'm going to just talk about two projects where our design strategy was a little bit unconventional from the normal way, a lot of us go about our design. The first project is a residential bungalow located in Jajpur, which is 3 hours away from Bhubaneswar, very remote location. And the client's brief was, I want to design a tropical home from the outside, but a Parsi home from the inside. He was looking at a lot of antique furniture using Bharat tiles. And this started right before lockdown, where we had the architecture in place. And since I came back from the US, I decided that we should use Revit for all architecture projects. And I took up the additional challenge of saying, let's use Revit for the interiors as well. So this was one of the models that we had. And the floor plan for this actually was very practical, and it just came out of the client's requirements. And though we started with a larger floor plate, it sort of condensed down to something smaller and very practical. So for the 3D views, we gave them two 3D views for the exterior, this one, and there was another one for the backside. Client approved immediately, and then we hit lockdown. So we kind of got stuck in that. And then I think after the first lockdown, client said, okay, I want to build this bungalow. So while the construction started, I started working on the interiors for this. So this was the final completion of the entire architecture, very similar to what you saw in the render. And the landscape of this was taken from the local nursery that was available on site. So for the interiors, taking on Revit was really easy because all the furniture was bought out. There was no paneling. Everything was based on just Bharat tiles, different paint colors, different textures, different fabrics. So because we started this before the second lockdown, I had a very short period to just go to a couple of my vendors, find out where you get antique furniture in Mumbai, sourced everything, and then as lockdown hit, we started to design. Now, everybody looks at references, but we always say just references are inspirations, just move past them, try and go out and see what you can physically see, what you can touch, what is out there available in the market. And for this project, we didn't do a single interior 3D render. Client was in Delhi, we were in Mumbai, project is in Orissa, and we just shared these images with them. I mean, I did this on Revit. Furniture was bought out, so we didn't really have to show them the exact model, exact look and feel. And since the interiors were fairly simple, within the first presentation, client approved, and she said, the rugs, I'll go select the rugs, and I'll give you the artwork. You complete the interiors. So we just did a mood board material palette like this. There was no way for her or us to visualize how this would come together. So we just went with our intuition, what we liked, what we saw, what works together as an entire palette. And the same for the furniture. We sourced. We went to some of the antique shops, went to Gulmohar Lane. We just, didn't know how it was going to come together in the end, but I think that was the fun of it. So yeah, this is, I guess, very, very close to that, sketch Revit model that we had shared. And though this is only the living room, but we had different themes for all the rooms coming together for their tropical Parsi home. The second project, very different. We do a lot of lounges. For the Bangalore domestic airport, we did their domestic lounge. And this, again, was a pre-lockdown project which just started. And we met the client, and then lockdown hit, and they said, OK, we'll take lockdown. We'll start designing during lockdown. So when COVID is over, we can start with the construction. The only thing was these images and the original design didn't actually come from us. It came from an international designer. And normally, we don't take up projects where some international designer comes and says, please do this and execute it. But because this was so prestigious, we said, let's take it on, but find a way to make it our own. And a lot of what they shared was it was not constructible. It was very conceptual. One, I guess, 3D view for each area, not out of scale, out of proportion, not looking at the site context. So we just took what they had. We give them full credit for the initial concept. We took what they had, and we just decided, as per the site context, what is going on, how the structure is going to be loaded. We just customized everything as per that. So this was for the cinema pod, where they had this idea of using this cocoon. And this is what we started with, very boring, as I said, work in progress. Didn't like this at all. When we tried to remove their entire cocoon design, it was just failing. So through the lockdown, we had our 3D team working remotely. Me and my dad were not together, living together, so I would sketch, I would Photoshop, send to him. He would sketch, send his remarks, we would send to the client. It would just go back and forth like this. But it worked quite beautifully, and then eventually we came up with a sort of combination of a cocoon from the inside, and it's really nice. Yeah. These were just how we iterated and we sent it across to the 3D team and, how to get them to make the changes. Yeah. So we did a little cocoon from the inside, and then from the outside we had a cylindrical form. So this is much easier to construct, better for the context, work with the rest of the space. So this was the final design. And everything is customized. Everything is built in, customized. Everything is selected by us, including the art, artifacts, plants even. For the same lounge, we had another area called the Fire Lounge. Now, while these were the references that were given to us, it is nothing like the render that they provided us. And to look at this and say, how do we construct this? Scale being completely off from what the site context was. But the client really wanted this fire sculpture in the middle of the lounge, and with or without an actual fire. So we took this form, but we sort of changed it entirely to make it constructible. And even with the colors, we just thought everything was so dull that we wanted to liven up a little bit. So they gave us that much liberty to sort of change things and add in whatever we could. And yeah, that's the final. When anyone who visits the lounge, just think of us and how this was constructed. I think this is like the craziest thing we've done recently. Just to give you some, a little bit of, we try a lot of digital media. I'm just, we in the office, I'm bored sometimes. We work on like trying some AR concepts. How do we show a client a 3D model without actually building the physical 3D model, just messing around, And we also try a little bit of AI. So this is the design that we've done for a basement swimming pool for a client in Delhi. And I said, okay, why don't we take this into AI and see what it can do for us, try different options. Client wasn't happy with this design. So again, messing around. The problem with using AI is that it doesn't understand your context at all. This is the basement. Now suddenly windows, skylight, there's a table on the pool. I don't know what's happening. This is really nice as a look, but again, does not understand what we're trying to do. So just design. Better to not try AI or anything right now, I think. Yeah, and this is another software we recently discovered called D5, which we're not going to tell our clients, but all changes are instant. So you don't change a fabric, change the lighting. My render takes 40 seconds. My walkthrough takes 3 minutes. And this, I think, has changed our life. So we just started using this, and it's been really, really helpful. Definitely explore this, and yeah. Thank you so much.